Hello and welcome. I'm so pleased to have all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, joining me today. Whether you're dreaming of managing a chic boutique hotel or a massive, sprawling resort, there's one skill that truly separates the good managers from the great ones. And that's the ability to look at a number on a report and see the entire story hiding behind it. Today, we're going on a diagnostic journey to learn exactly how to do that.
So let's just dive right in, shall we? Imagine you're the manager. You open up your monthly P&L, and this number is just staring back at you. Restaurant profit, down 15%. Oof, that's going to catch your eye, right? Now, this number, it tells you what happened, but does it tell you the one thing you actually need to know to fix it? And that right there is the million-dollar question. Why? Why did this happen? This is the critical shift in your thinking, moving from just passively observing a result to actively beginning an investigation. Answering this question is the difference between a manager who's always reacting and putting out fires and a leader who is proactive and strategic.
So, to get to that why, we're going to follow a clear path together. First, we'll learn to look beyond just the surface numbers. Then, we'll focus on the art of asking the right kind of questions. After that, we'll get into the detective work, uncovering the key drivers. Then we'll see how to connect all the dots, and finally, turn all those hard-earned insights into real, effective action.
All right, let's kick things off with our first step, moving beyond the surface numbers. This is all about making that essential shift from just knowing what happened to truly diagnosing why it happened.
This slide lays it out perfectly. On the one hand, you have observation. Think of that as your standard report. It's basically a scorecard. It just tells you the final score, what happened. But on the other hand, you have insight, and this is where the magic happens. This is where you move from just reading the scorecard to understanding the entire game. It explains why the numbers are what they are, and that's where real management begins.
Okay, let's build on that. Step 2 is all about asking the right question. And to do that, you really have to adopt a mindset of curiosity. So what exactly does that mean? Well, think of root cause analysis this way. It's a structured approach that treats a financial variance, like our 15% profit drop, as a symptom that needs to be diagnosed with curiosity, not as a problem that needs to be judged or blamed on someone. That mindset shift is absolutely everything. A symptom invites a thoughtful diagnosis. A problem just invites finger-pointing. And listen, this isn't just some textbook theory. The best analysts out there are trained to ask layered questions. They never, ever stop at the first answer. They just keep digging, peeling back the layers one by one until the true underlying reasons are finally brought into the light. Which brings us right to the heart of our investigation, uncovering the drivers. Now we're going to get into the 3 main areas where you'll almost always find your answers. That's operational, market, and behavioral factors. Okay, let's start with the first and probably the most common category, operational factors. Think of this as the inside-the-house analysis. We're looking at the day-to-day mechanics of how the hotel actually runs, and this is an especially critical place to look when you're diagnosing any kind of cost variance. And here are some of the usual suspects. You start asking questions. Are our food costs high because of simple waste, or maybe poor portion control on the grill station? Are we seeing labor inefficiencies because of sloppy scheduling, or maybe a gap in training for the new staff? Hey, did one of our key suppliers suddenly raise their prices on us? Any one of these internal factors can send ripples straight to your bottom line. Next up, we have to look outside the 4 walls of our hotel. This is driver number 2, market factors. These are all the external forces that are shaping your performance. And crucially, they're often things a manager can't directly control day to day. Think about it. Was there a huge citywide convention last year that just isn't happening this year? That's a huge dip in demand. What's the wider economy doing? And what about the competition? Did the hotel down the street just launch a super aggressive weekend package? Understanding these market drivers is key for setting realistic expectations and for crafting a much bigger strategic response. And now for our third driver. And this one is so important because honestly, it's the one that gets overlooked the most. Behavioral factors. This is all about the human element, the decisions people make, the incentives they're given, and the communication, or lack thereof, happening inside your own teams. For example, you see this all the time. Was there a big push for aggressive discounting at the end of the month just to hit an occupancy target? Sure, your occupancy number might look good, but that can absolutely crush your average daily rate and your overall profit. What are the manager's priorities focused on? Is there a breakdown in communication between the front desk and housekeeping?
The bottom line is the goals and incentives you put in place directly shape behavior, and that behavior directly shapes your financial results.
Okay, so we've identified a few potential drivers, some clues. Now we move to step 4, connecting all the dots. This is where we use some more advanced tools to build a really complete and accurate picture of what's going on.
The first technique, data triangulation, is incredibly powerful. The idea is really simple. You never look at just one piece of data in isolation. Don't just look at your P&L statement. Compare those financial numbers with your operational metrics, like occupancy or restaurant covers. Then layer on top of that your guest satisfaction scores and maybe even your employee turnover rates. Because let me tell you, if you see profit, guest satisfaction, and employee morale all dipping in the same period, well, suddenly a much clearer story starts to emerge.
Our second technique is something you always have to keep in mind: timing and lag effects. In business, cause and effect are rarely instant. I mean, look at this slide. You might launch a brilliant new marketing campaign in month 1. The expense for that campaign hits your books in month 2, but you might not actually see the new bookings and the revenue from it until month 3. If you don't account for those delays, you're going to come to the wrong conclusion.
And that brings us to our final and, you could argue, our most important step: moving from insight to action. This is what it's all about: crafting an effective response that makes this whole analytical process worthwhile. This slide just says it all, doesn't it? After all that hard detective work, a weak conclusion is just saying food costs are too high. I mean, okay, so what? That's an observation, not an insight. It's a dead end. But an actionable conclusion, the kind that's born from real root cause analysis, sounds like this: portion control issues on the grill station led to a 5% food cost overrun. We need to retrain the kitchen staff on these specific recipes. See the difference? One is just a complaint. The other is a specific, constructive plan of attack. So as we wrap things up, I want to leave you with a question to take with you into your careers. I want you to look at the numbers around you in your own operations and ask yourself this: what is the one financial symptom that I'm seeing right now that really needs a deeper diagnosis? I want you to use this framework, ask those layered questions, and go find the real why. Good luck.